Hey guys, it's Olivia and I'm back with another video. So, if you follow me on Twitter and Instagram, then you would know that this past week I was out of the country. If you don't know, I am from Canada and I went to America to visit some family. Specifically, I went to Kansas City, and a drive from Toronto to Kansas City can be 19 hours considering stopping to use the bathroom and to get food and to switch drivers and all that stuff. Therefore, we didn't drive, at least not all the way. So basically what we did is we drove to Detroit, which is about 4 hours away, and then took a plane from there, which was about a 2-hour plane ride. And so, as you can tell by the title of this video, this is the first time that I have taken a plane in 10 years. So before last week, the last time I had taken a plane was when I was 10 years old, and now I am currently 20. So I hadn't taken a plane in half my life. So in this week's video, I'm just gonna be comparing and contrasting the difference between the last time I took a plane 10 years ago and the most recent time I took a plane last week. But before we get into the video, be sure to subscribe to my channel because I make new videos every Monday. I make anywhere from topic videos like this to rant videos to how to make money online videos. And with all that being said, let's get into this week's video. So my original idea was to vlog the trip, which would have included me like vlogging my experience on the plane in real time. The reason why that didn't happen is because, okay, hold on, back it up. The last time I was on a plane, I was 10. I know 10-year-olds nowadays have like cell phones and iPads and laptops and all that good stuff, but like back when I was 10, 10-year-olds didn't have that. I have taken a plane various times in my life, but all at the age of 10 and below, right? So I kind of know how planes work, but like I don't know anything about bringing electronics on planes because I'd never done that. The last time I'd taken a plane, I didn't have any of that stuff. So I was like, am I allowed to bring a laptop on a plane? I know you can bring a phone if you put it on airplane mode. Am I allowed to bring a camera? Can I do all this? And like, I know that they can be very strict at the airport, and like when you're going through security, they want to like take everything that they can away from you, right? So I know that they're very strict when it comes to that stuff. So I'm like, do I really want to bring all my stuff just to get it like confiscated? No. So then I left my camera and stuff at home, and I didn't want to vlog on the plane because I was like, if this plane crashes because of me, because I decided to use electronics, that's not the way I'm trying to go out. Therefore, I just tried to commit everything to memory so that I could relive it now while we're not in the air. So basically, going there, when we took off, there was a lot of turbulence. Like, I was clutching the armrests like it was nobody's business. Like, pretend this is the armrest and this is my hand. I was like, I was clutching that because we were shaking all up over the place, and like, I don't know, like, this is not the first time I'd experienced turbulence. I've experienced it in the past, but once again, that was 10 years ago. So I'm like, please don't let us fall out of the sky, because there have been quite a few plane crashes recently with like the new planes that they made where they didn't make them properly or the pilots don't notify them. I don't know all the details. I don't watch the news. You guys know I don't watch the news. I made a whole video about how I don't watch the news. But what I do know is that some planes have crashed recently. So I was like, I'm not trying to be on one of these planes that's gonna crash because either the plane wasn't built right or the pilot doesn't know what he's doing. I don't know. Anyways, so I was like, this is not how I'm trying to go out. So I was clutching this armrest, but then it got smoother. And then I actually fell asleep because we left home at 3 a.m. because, as I said, we had to drive to Detroit first and then catch our flight from there. So we had to leave Toronto early, right? So I was tired. So luckily I was asleep for like almost all of this flight. And then I didn't wake up till the wheels touched the ground, and I was like, oh, we landed. I didn't die. Ooh, yes. For a split second when those wheels touched the ground, I thought that we had like crashed, and it was like that split second before I died. But clearly I didn't die because hello, here I am. So yeah, that was the experience going there. A little bit of turbulence, but nothing too bad. Then on the way back, it was a lot smoother. A lot smoother. And one thing that I didn't remember from my 10 years ago taking a flight is you don't really feel it taking off. Like, you feel when like the plane starts going really, 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 really fast, but like once you leave the ground, you don't even realize, and then before you know it, you look out the window and everybody's this big, right? So I actually don't mind the feeling of taking off because there really isn't a feeling of taking off. Like, personally, I didn't feel it except for when we were going because the plane was doing this because of turbulence. Right. So I don't mind flying. I don't want to fall out of the sky, but I don't mind flying. Yeah. So what are the differences between this past week and 10 years ago? Well, one thing that's different, and this doesn't really have to do with the plane itself or flying itself, but one thing that was different is, like, do they not give food on planes anymore? So let me tell you something. These are the only places I've ever flown. I have flown to Jamaica multiple times because that is where my parents are from. That is where my grandparents currently live. And so I go there to visit family, or at least I used to go there quite often in the first 10 years of my life, right? So I've flown to Jamaica, which is about 3 hours, 3.5 hours. And then I've flown to New York once before, which was like an hour, right? And then this time was the first time I've ever flown to Kansas City. I've been there before, but we've driven, right? And so I know that 3 hours, like going to Jamaica, is not a very long flight, yet they still gave us food. This flight to Kansas City was 2 hours, and they sell food, but they don't give you free food. Like the last time I went to Jamaica, I remember this quite vividly. They gave us half a banana and a muffin. That is what we got to eat. It was a snack because, once again, you don't need to eat every 3 hours. They were just like, oh, you paid $1 gajillion for this flight? Yeah, we'll at least give you some nourishment. You know what I mean? They were at least courteous. But apparently they don't do that anymore. I assume if you're like flying to the opposite side of the world, like if you're flying to Australia, like you're literally flying from the top of the world to the bottom, I would assume they give you free food, because I feel like they kind of have to. Because if you're like me and you're not trying to pay them extra money for food because you already paid hundreds of dollars for this ticket, then so if you're like me and you like refuse to purchase their food, they can't just have you starving there for however many hours it takes to fly to Australia. You know what I mean? So I assume that if you are on a long flight that they have to give you food, but apparently on shorter flights they don't give you food anymore. And it's like, really? You couldn't take some of that hundreds of dollars that each individual person paid and give me half a banana? Bananas, you can buy a bunch of bananas for like 67 cents, and you couldn't even give me half of one banana? Huh? Okay, I feel you. Right? So that's one thing. They don't feed you. Luckily, as I said, I was asleep, and we had eaten before we got on the plane, so that wasn't that big a deal. But like, I'm just wondering why I couldn't get half a banana. That's it. Another thing that is the same is you still can't bring liquids onto a plane. I knew that. But you see, what had happened was I do not travel very much anymore. I may have mentioned this on my YouTube channel. Like, I travel for track, so I've been to America a few times this year, but we've driven and we've only stayed for 1 or 2 nights, so like I didn't have to pack heavy. Therefore, I just put everything in my duffel bag. I don't have a suitcase because I don't travel for long enough periods of time or far enough that I need a whole suitcase. So I didn't have a suitcase, so I used my track duffel bag. Well, one of the things that is in my duffel bag is my water bottle, because when you are doing physical activity, you tend to get thirsty, right? So I didn't take this water bottle out of my bag. So then when I was going through the security and like I had to take off my shoes, jacket, blah, blah, all that good stuff. And then I walk through, put my arms up, and then they scan me. They like pat me down a little bit, but it was whatever. And then, so they put my bag through the thingamabob. And then they're like, oh, do you have like some liquid, maybe a thermos or a water bottle? And I said no because I didn't realize it was in there. So then now they think that I'm a liar because they can see it on the screen because they like x-rayed my whole bag, right? So they know that there's something in there, and then me and myself said no before thinking and being like, oh, this is your track bag. You obviously have a water bottle in there that you forgot to take out. And so I was like, oh no, there's nothing in my bag. I know I'm not allowed to bring liquids, you know what I mean? And then I was like, oh no, actually, like there might actually be a water bottle, but like there's no water in it because I had just had a meet the week prior and I know that I finished my water. So I was like, yeah, there's a water bottle, but it's empty. And then they took it out and then they looked and they like turned it upside down and like opened it and like tried to see if anything would come out, and nothing came out because it was empty, like I said. And they were like, okay. Another thing that happened when I was going through security is I had my laptop in my duffel bag. And as I said, the last time I took a plane, I didn't have any electronics. So I don't know what to do with electronics. Apparently, if you have a laptop or anything, you're supposed to take it out of the bag and then put it into one of the baskets. I did not know this, so I just left it in the bag. It was on the top of the bag, so like right as they opened my bag, they could see it. I wasn't like hiding it or anything, but I didn't know that, so they're like, oh, she's suspicious. First, she said she didn't have a water bottle, and she did, and now she has electronics that she was trying to hide. I wasn't trying to hide it. It was literally on top, right as you unzipped it. It was right there. But anyways, so then it took me a little bit longer to get through security because I had an empty water bottle and my laptop. But now I know. Now I know for future reference, take the laptop out of the bag and don't bring water bottles, which I didn't intend to bring it. I just didn't clear out the stuff that was in my bag before putting the stuff that I was going to carry, which is completely on me, and I own that. This is another thing I don't know if this is a comparison or a contrast or whatever, but this is another thing that happened that was kind of different from the last time that I took a plane. So this time okay, back it up. Let me tell you the people who I traveled with so that this will make more sense. I traveled with my dad, my aunt, and my cousin. And then me makes 4. In the plane that we were taking, there's 3 seats, the aisle, 3 seats. So we bought the tickets at the same time, therefore we were sitting close to each other, but the seats on our ticket, like it was like A, B, C, D, so A, B, C are together, and then D, E, F are together. So my cousin, aunt, and dad were sitting next to each other right here, and then I was on the other side of the aisle right there. So like it wasn't a big deal because I was literally right beside my dad. It's just that there was an aisle. But like, you see, the last time I took a plane, when I fell asleep, I could just lean on my father because I can do that. So like you basically get extra room when you're sitting next to someone you know, because you can like sleep on them, you can talk with your arms and be all big because the person who you're sitting next to knows you. You know what I mean? But then I was sitting beside a stranger and then another stranger who was by the window. So I couldn't be big. Not that I was talking with my hands a lot like I am right now, because as I said, I fell asleep, but I had to sleep in this space because I wasn't sitting next to anybody I knew. So previously, every other time I've ever taken the plane, I've either been sitting beside my mom or my dad or both, right? So I could have all the space, mom here, dad here. I could literally spread out because it was my parents and they didn't care and I was 10, right? So that was what it was like the last time I traveled. But this time I was sitting beside a stranger. Therefore, I had to keep to my own individual space, which isn't a big deal because I'm not that tall. I'm only 5'6", so I don't need the extra room, but it's nice to have. So I didn't have that this time, but it was okay because I'm a small person. But yeah, so that was pretty much my experience taking the plane. On the way there, Before even getting to the plane, I got checked by TSA. I lied about having a water bottle because I didn't remember that I had a water bottle. They went through my bag to like check out my laptop to see if I was like, I don't know what I would have done with a laptop because I'm not a criminal. I don't know what criminals do, but they like found my laptop, saw everything was good. We got to go through a little bit of turbulence on the way there, but it was smooth on the way back. And that's pretty much what my experience was like. Some differences to the last time I took a plane and some similarities, mainly similar, but yeah, I got there safely. I got back safely. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's all for this week's video. That was my experience taking a plane for the first time in 10 years. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you think your friends will enjoy it, be sure to share it with them. All my social media links will be down below in case you want to follow me on there. Be sure to subscribe to my channel because I make new videos every Monday, and I'll see you next Monday with a new video.